Lemuria is not merely a place marked on ancient maps or lost in the folds of time. It is a living essence, a timeless state of consciousness woven into the very fabric of existence. It was never confined to the fragile crust of a sunken landmass beneath the Pacific Ocean. Instead, it pulsed as a luminous frequency, a heartbeat synchronized with the cosmos. In Lemuria, life thrived not through survival, but through resonance, where every creature, every stone, every drop of water vibrated with a silent song that only the soul could hear. Language as we know it was obsolete, for communication flowed effortlessly through telepathy, a communion of minds where truth could not be distorted and hearts spoke directly to hearts. There, intuition was not a whisper to be doubted but a radiant beacon, guiding each being along paths of profound alignment and purpose. The people of Lemuria did not see themselves as separate from nature. They knew they were nature, extensions of the oceans, the winds, the fire within the earth's core, and the silver glow of distant stars. Their temples were the forests, their cathedrals were the mountains, and their scriptures were etched into the living rivers that carried ancient wisdom to all corners of the land. The atmosphere shimmered with a palpable energy, a golden mist visible to those whose inner eyes were open, linking all in an intricate dance of interconnected life. Time moved differently in this realm. It was less a relentless march and more a cyclical spiral, a gentle unfolding of being rather than a linear journey from birth to decay. Children arrived into the world not as blank slates but as revered carriers of ancient memories, their laughter containing codes that reawakened entire communities to deeper truths. Healing was not an art to be learned, but a birthright to be remembered. Practice through songs that could recalibrate the body's vibration and restore harmony in mere moments. Crystals were not inert objects but sentient allies, storing emotional imprints, guiding dreams, and amplifying the intentions of those who walked the path of light. Relationships, whether between lovers, friends, or strangers, were sacred mirrors reflecting the soul's endless facets, offering endless opportunities for expansion, forgiveness, and transcendence. There was no hierarchy of beings, no division between the seen and unseen. Elementals, ancestors, star beings, and humans coexisted in mutual respect, each honoring the other's role in the intricate web of creation. In Lemuria, celebration was a way of life, festivals honoring the moon's phases, the flowering of rare plants, the migration of sacred animals, or the simple joy of collective dreaming where entire communities entered shared visions to shape new realities. Death was not an end but a joyous return, a homecoming into broader streams of consciousness, and those who passed would still walk among the living as counselors and companions, felt in the rustle of leaves or the sparkle of the morning dew. Music was not merely entertainment, but the weaving of worlds, crafted with sounds that could birth valleys, summon rain, or heal wounded hearts across vast distances. The skies above Lemuria were not veils separating them from the stars, but living murals where the histories of galaxies were written in flowing, shifting patterns accessible to anyone who dared to remember. Every gesture, every thought, every breath was a co-creation with the universe, a living prayer that reinforced the knowledge that separation was an illusion, and unity was the only truth. Lemuria, then, was never lost. It hums beneath the surface of modern life, a quiet drumbeat urging humanity to remember a time when wonder, wisdom, and oneness were not aspirations, but the natural state of being. Those who close their eyes and listen, not with ears but with the still point at the center of their being, can feel it even now. The ancient call, the breath of Lemuria, alive, waiting for a new dawn.
The Lemurians lived in complete harmony with the earth and the stars, recognizing no boundary between themselves and the living consciousness of the world around them. To walk upon the soil was to walk upon their own extended skin. To swim in the oceans was to swim through the veins of their own celestial body. They did not see earth as a possession to be claimed or conquered, but as a sacred partner, an intimate reflection of their innermost essence. Every mountain pulsed with an ancient heart, a steady thrum that whispered wisdom to those who paused to listen. The forests breathed in cadence with their own chests, exhaling dreams and inhaling gratitude, a seamless exchange between spirit and form. Rivers carried not just water, but songs of remembrance, each curve and eddy preserving memories of creation itself, accessible to any who approached with reverence. The Lemurians knew the stones were keepers of stories, holding silent records of distant star systems, of migrations across galaxies, of the weaving of elemental forces into life. To them, the earth was not silent. It spoke through the crackle of fire, the murmur of roots, the shimmering dance of auroras across the night sky. They could lay a hand upon a boulder and feel its slow, immense pulse, could sit by the ocean and hear the tides speaking in languages older than memory, could stand in the breeze and receive messages carried from distant lands and unseen realms. The stars, too, were not distant or cold. They were kin, shining fragments of a shared soul, and the Lemurians conversed with them in the secret dialects of light and vibration. They understood constellations not as random arrangements, but as living libraries, each point of light a portal to wisdom, to forgotten technologies, to sacred blueprints etched across the cosmos. Ceremony was woven into the fabric of daily life. For every action, gathering food, building a home, tending a flame, was undertaken in conscious dialogue with the spirits of place, time, and element. When they built shelters, they asked permission of the land and received guidance on where walls should rise and windows should open to invite the blessings of sun and wind. When they harvested plants, they sang to the roots, offering songs of gratitude that nourished the plant's spirits even as their bodies were taken. Their gardens were not rows of imposed order, but intricate collaborations where humans, plants, insects, and elemental beings shaped living ecosystems together, each decision attuned to the needs of the whole. They journeyed beyond their bodies with ease, weaving their awareness into rivers, into clouds, into constellations, returning home with insights carried from the breath of the universe itself. Knowledge was not accumulated through books, but absorbed directly from the living world, each tree a mentor, each gust of wind a revelation. They revered the principle of reciprocity, knowing that what they offered in love and honor would return multiplied, not by transaction, but by the natural law of harmony. Their songs could mend a broken tree branch, soothe an injured bird, or call rain to thirsty fields, for their voices carried frequencies that mirrored the perfect blueprint of life. Children learned these arts not through rigid instruction, but through immersion, as naturally as learning to breathe or dream. Elders were not hoarders of authority, but conduits of remembrance, guiding the young to see with clear eyes and hear with unclouded hearts. In Lemuria, grief for a fallen tree or a dry stream was not weakness, but sacred acknowledgement of shared life, a prayer that bound the community tighter to the web of existence. Even the smallest stone was honored as an ancient ally, its presence a reminder of the eons of patience and transformation required for life to dance into form. In their view, to harm the earth was to wound their own soul, and to heal the earth was to awaken deeper dimensions of themselves. Nightfall was never feared, for the stars wove protective lullabies across the sky, and dreams were voyages of collective exploration where souls met across oceans and mountaintops to exchange gifts of light. The Lemurians lived as one breath with the planet and the stars, a symphony of flesh and spirit, memory and becoming, a testament to what humanity still carries deep within its sleeping heart. The knowledge that we are not visitors upon this earth, but luminous extensions of her eternal song. Lemurian technology was based not on machinery, but on vibration, the pure language of the universe itself. They did not shape their cities from cold stone or forged steel, but from living currents of light, crystalline matrices, and the eternal patterns of sacred geometry. Every structure they created was an extension of consciousness, grown rather than built, resonating in perfect harmony with the Earth's natural energy fields. They understood that the planet was a living being, crisscrossed with ley lines, rivers of subtle power flowing beneath the surface, forming a vast luminous web connecting mountains, oceans, forests, and stars. The Lemurians harnessed these ley lines not by force, but through reverence, aligning their dwellings, temples, and gardens precisely along these veins of Earth's vitality, transforming their cities into instruments of healing, gateways of interdimensional passage, and catalysts for the soul's awakening. Their homes glowed softly with the internal light of embedded crystals, each tuned to specific frequencies that balanced the body, mind, and spirit of those who entered. Walls were alive with gentle vibrations, humming in patterns that soothed the heart and opened the inner eye. Towers spiraled upward, not as displays of dominance, but as beacons for celestial travelers, their geometries echoing the mathematical perfection found in seashells, galaxies, and strands of DNA. Roads were not mere thoroughfares, but energetic corridors, singing beneath the feet of travelers, guiding them intuitively to places of learning, communion, or transformation. Public spaces shimmered with harmonic fields where individuals could sit within circles of standing crystals and attune themselves to higher dimensions, receive visions, or dissolve inner wounds without a single word spoken. Healing centers were temples of sound and color, where the sick lay surrounded by vibrating stones and tonal fields that reassembled their energy patterns into wholeness. Interdimensional travel was not mechanical, it was a shift of frequency, a tuning of one's inner being to the gateways formed at the intersections of ley lines, where the veils between worlds grew thin. There, with focused intention and the resonance of sacred chants, the Lemurians could step effortlessly across planes of existence, visiting ancestral realms, star worlds, and the inner sanctuaries of the Earth herself. Their knowledge of geometry was not academic, but embodied. They perceived the divine ratios in every breath, every heartbeat, and translated them into structures that amplified natural energies rather than obstructing them. Pyramids, spheres, spirals, and crystalline grids were all integral parts of their urban landscape, each serving as a living circuit within the greater consciousness of the Earth. No technology polluted, extracted, or consumed. Every innovation enhanced the flow of life, honoring the symbiotic dance between matter and spirit. Crystals were the Lemurians' allies and collaborators. Consciousness encoded in form, capable of storing vast histories, transmitting thought across distances, and harmonizing communities with planetary rhythms. When they sang to a crystal, they did not merely produce sound, they encoded intentions, memories, and dreams into its lattice, allowing wisdom to be preserved and shared across generations without loss or distortion. In moments of collective ritual, entire cities would pulse with synchronized light, becoming visible from great distances as living constellations upon the Earth. These ceremonies strengthened the planetary grid itself, reinforcing the bonds between Earth and the cosmic currents streaming from distant suns and ancient star systems. Education did not involve memorization, but immersion. Young ones were guided into vibrational fields where knowledge was transmitted directly through resonance, awakening ancient memories encoded in their very DNA. The Lemurians lived knowing that matter was only frozen light, that every form could be transmuted, elevated, or healed through the conscious application of vibration and sacred form. They left no scars upon the land, no ruins of conquest, for their cities could dematerialize, returning to pure energy when their purpose was fulfilled, leaving behind only the soft, lingering presence of peace. Their true legacy is not buried under oceans or hidden in broken stones. It endures within the Earth's living grid and within the sleeping frequencies of the human soul, waiting for the moment when once again humanity will remember how to build, to heal, and to travel not by force, but by resonance, light, and love. Lemuria is not a myth lost to the tides of time. It is a living memory woven into the DNA of humanity, pulsing quietly beneath the surface of everyday life. It breathes within the blood, sleeps within the bones, and stirs within the dreams of those who dare to listen. Those who feel an unexplainable pull toward the ocean, whose hearts ache at the sight of endless waves, or who lose themselves gazing into the vastness of the stars, are the silent bearers of the Lemurian lineage. It is not the mind that remembers, but the soul, whispering through every heartbeat, every breath, every sudden yearning for a world where unity and unconditional love are not ideals, but simple facts of existence. These souls are not merely descendants, they are living bridges, carrying forward the resonance of an age when humanity walked in seamless communion with the earth, the sky, and the unseen realms. Every moment of inexplicable compassion, every instinct to heal rather than to harm, every longing for a connection deeper than words can express, is an echo of Lemuria singing through every cell. It rises in the artist who paints not for glory, but to reveal hidden worlds, in the healer whose hands move by unseen guidance, in the dreamer who cries at the beauty of a sunrise without knowing why. It awakens in moments of silence, when the soul recognizes itself in the rustling of leaves, the laughter of water, the hum of starlight cascading across the cosmos. Those who carry this lineage feel an ancient homesickness, not for a place, but for a state of being, a way of living where trust was instinctive, where community was woven from threads of the soul, and where every act was a prayer to the living universe. The memory of Lemuria is not passive. It calls, it beckons, it stirs the old magic hidden beneath the armor of modern life, asking to be remembered, reawakened, reborn. It is encoded in the cellular memory of how to build without domination, to love without possession, to speak without words, to know without fear. It lives in the inexplicable recognition between strangers, the sudden tears at the sound of ancient music, the overwhelming reverence that wells up in sacred places where stone, sea, and sky meet in perfect harmony. Each shiver of awe, each leap of intuition, each choice made from the heart rather than the mind, adds another thread to the great tapestry of remembrance that humanity is slowly weaving back together. Those who feel this call often find themselves torn between worlds, the harsh rhythms of the modern age and the softer, truer pulse of an ancient wisdom that refuses to be silenced. Their dreams are not fantasies, but communications, fragments of a living heritage urging them to remember who they truly are and why they have returned now, in this fractured age. Lemuria's song vibrates beneath the noise of everyday life, waiting for quiet hearts to hear it once more, to let its tones reshape their thoughts, their choices, their very way of being. The ocean remembers, the stars remember, and within the sacred architecture of the human form, the memory waits, not as a relic, but as a seed. It is a seed of unity, of healing, of a world built not upon fear or scarcity, but upon the limitless living field of love. Every act of forgiveness, every spark of joy shared without condition, every dream of a better world is not a beginning but a remembering, an unfolding of the Lemurian truth already alive within the human heart. Those who answer the call do not walk alone. They are accompanied by the breath of oceans, the laughter of stars, and the silent, invincible memory of a time when humanity itself was a song of the earth, the sky, and the soul, sung in perfect, radiant harmony. Lemuria never truly disappeared. It withdrew from physical sight, but remained woven into the energetic fabric of the earth and the consciousness of humanity. As the veils between dimensions grow thinner and the illusions of separation weaken, Lemuria's ancient energy grid rises once more, reawakening the dormant threads of memory within both land and soul. It hums beneath sacred energy centers where the Earth's heart beats closest to the surface, Mount Shasta, shrouded in ethereal mists, its crystalline core pulsing with Lemurian wisdom. Hawaii, where the volcanic breath of the planet speaks in songs of rebirth, and the ocean cradles the echoes of forgotten prayers. Rapa Nui, where the silent sentinels gaze eternally toward horizons that bridge the seen and the unseen. These places are not relics but living beacons, transmitting frequencies to those whose inner ears are open, guiding the scattered children of Lemuria back to the remembrance of who they are. Yet the resurgence of Lemuria is not confined to distant lands. It stirs in the secret gardens of dreams, in the sudden knowing that blooms in a quiet moment, in the subtle vibrations that tremble within your chest when you choose love over fear, unity over division, vulnerability over armor. Every act of kindness, every moment of forgiveness, every impulse toward creation rather than destruction sends ripples through the grid, strengthening the resurrection of a world that never truly ended. Lemuria lives within the courage to see yourself reflected in the eyes of a stranger, within the choice to listen to the silent language of the trees, within the aching tenderness that rises when you touch the hand of a loved one and feel the universe breathing between you. It sings through the artists who capture light with their hands, the healers who mend what science has forgotten, the dreamers who build bridges between the broken islands of human hearts. It moves invisibly through circles of meditation, through whispered intentions carried on the winds, through the gentle revolution of countless souls waking up to the truth that they are not isolated embers, but radiant threads in a boundless, eternal weave. The reawakening of Lemuria is not an event, but a remembering, an unfolding spiral of consciousness spiriting itself back into full bloom through each choice made from the seat of love rather than the clenched fist of fear. When your heart aches with a longing you cannot name, when your spirit soars at the sight of an endless ocean, when tears rise unbidden at the feeling of belonging to something vast and beautiful beyond comprehension, it is Lemuria's pulse rising in you. It is the signal flare of an ancient home, a reminder that paradise was never lost. It was only waiting for the eyes of the soul to open once more. You are standing upon the threshold now, not looking back into myth, but forward into the rebirth of what has always been yours to claim. Lemuria breathes within every sacred stone, every ripple of laughter, every act of tenderness that dares to defy the coldness of the age. It is not a place to be found. It is a frequency to be lived, a state of being that reshapes the world by the quiet, unstoppable force of awakened hearts. Each time you surrender to wonder, each time you extend your hands rather than build your walls, you anchor Lemuria's light more firmly into the fabric of the now. The temples may be unseen, but the architects walk among us, reweaving the tapestry thread by radiant thread. The dream lives in you. It calls through you, and with every breath chosen in love, the living memory of Lemuria grows stronger, more luminous, more real than it has been in millennia. Lemuria does not call us to rebuild a kingdom upon the shifting sands of the physical world. It calls us to restore the forgotten kingdom within our hearts, where no tide or storm can erase its foundations. It is not stone or gold that Lemuria seeks, but the rebirth of a consciousness where every heartbeat becomes an immortal song, vibrating in perfect union with the living universe. In this inner kingdom, walls are not built to divide, but dissolved by the boundless flow of love that knows no borders. Thrones are not claimed by conquest, but offered by surrender to the deeper wisdom that moves through all life. Here the stars are no longer distant fires, but companions singing in the bloodstream. The oceans no longer separate continents, but breathe as one vast eternal body with the soul. Each act of kindness, each silent forgiveness, each daring vision of unity strengthens the citadel of light rising within you. Lemuria does not ask for monuments of stone. It asks for temples of compassion, cathedrals of courage, cities made of dreams where every soul recognizes itself as a reflection of the infinite. This is the true return, not to a lost land, but to the undying kingdom waiting to be crowned within the sacred chambers of your own being.